Book and a Bev.
Hello everyone and welcome back to A Book and a Bev. We're your hosts Georgia, Ellie and Briony. We're still missing Claire this week. And today we are covering, it's book number 1 of the Shadow and Crown series called Song of the Mart. So it's written by, the girls are holding it up for you, so if you're watching via YouTube, enjoy. It is written by S.M Gaither and it's book 1 of, I think, 5. So that's exciting. The story focused on a girl who has survived a deadly illness and is enlisted by the Empire to try and find a cure. So to assist our main character in her journey is the mysterious, handsome and powerful captain of the guard who that's the peen we want this book. And of course, a gang of lovable, petty criminals. What are you drinking, Georgia?
I'm drinking Mr. Riggs Riesling because it's buttery. And I want the captain of the guard to butter my bangles. My bangles, my bangles. Butter my bangles.
I don't know how that happened, but I love it.
That's what I'm drinking.
I was going to try and do a drink that was thematic for the book because I thought, the last couple of episodes I've just gotten sloshed. The alcohol connection has been very thin. So I was trying, and then I failed. So I'm drinking South Street Lychee Seltzer. And I mean, that's translucent, so fading sickness. I feel like that works. But it's not great.
Well, look, it's better than buttering my bangles.
Marginally, yes.
And especially because the captain of the guard, I pictured him as Henry Cavill, but he definitely is not described as such.
He is not.
So
in our minds, he can be.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I was hoping.
Henry Cavill.
And then we get to the fan art and I was like, that's not Henry Cavill.
That was a strong turn in the opposite direction of where my brain was. Well, I have red wine tonight purely because that's all I had. So there is no special reason. Sorry.
Look, the blood of her enemies.
The blood of her enemies. Well, technically their blood was black and gross.
I was about to go real fucking dark there. Oh no.
What were you gonna say?
Maybe the blood of that innocent house of people she just burnt the fuck down,
Righty. We don't technically know how many people were dead. She saved one of them.
Too many. She just fucked up a whole house. Just
yeeted them.
They did not voluntarily leave the chat. They were yeeted from the chat.
They were yeeted from the chat.
They were smoked out.
Oh, no.
Okay, well, speaking of general vibes, what did we think of the book?
So, Ellie recommended this book in the fishbowl, and I had heard nothing about it before that. I was very intrigued, but you know me, I really enjoy going into books blind at the moment, so that's what I did. Was it ACOTAR level? No, but I really thoroughly enjoyed this book and I definitely thought it has potential to go great places. So I'm definitely keen to get my hands on the next book in the series and see what happens. It did take me a minute to get into it, but once she started investigating things and was out there trying to find a cure, I was into it. I was invested. I loved her visual description, basically silver hair. We've discussed it before. It's top tier. Silver hair is top tier. Can't fight that. But I cannot cope with a bland brunette love interest. I can't do it. And like we were hinting, the artwork in this book did not sell me on how hot the captain, Elandor?
I do not speak of him to that name. He is only Blue Eyes to me.
Looks Blue Eyes. Blue Eyes is meant to be smoking hot, but he was giving me very Jake Gyllenhaal. So,
and as a Cortez Swift stan, I must say no to that.
I did like the heavy lore in this book, about the different tiers of gods, which was exactly what I needed after reading Credence. Granted, I've also just finished reading Gallant and Prison Healer because I really needed to palate cleanse, but nonetheless, this was great. It was exactly what I needed, and I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Good. Me too,
Yay.
actually. I really enjoyed it. It was very reminiscent in parts to, I reckon, like from Blood and Ash. Especially at the beginning, how they were sort of setting it up. Like she's sort of weirdly the chosen one who's been affected by this illness / remember what were they? The zobbies? She was bitten by a zombie, but she didn't get turned.
Zombie gobbies!
Yes. So it was similar vibes to that. But I really liked all of the characters. Like, I really enjoyed all of their development throughout the book. I agree with you, Briony, that Blue Eyes description left a lot to be desired. But I ended up picturing him as McDreamy from Grey's Anatomy, which I'm quite comfortable with. Because he has, like, the hair, which you can just, like, your hair looks sexy, push back moment.
It's like that I've just casually run my hands through my hair, but I look, like, really relaxed about it.
Exactly, with a little bit of stubble and, like, piercing blue eyes.
Piercing, yes.
Piercing. I really liked the quests and the banter between Cass and Blue Eyes, as he shall now be known. But I had guessed the big plot twist as soon as, like, the sister was mentioned. So I...
Really?
I didn't.
No,
Ellie, are you sure you didn't ruin the book for yourself and read something?
I haven't this time, I swear it. As soon as he mentioned his sister has just, like, mysteriously gone, I'm like, well, you're not telling us that for nothing. And why is she over here a bit weird?
I was like, I'm going to promptly forget that.
Yeah, I was just like, la 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 la, just skipping past that information.
So yes, the big reveal at the end was a little bit anticlimactic for me, but I'm looking forward to potentially reading the next book because I think we've got a good little storyline building.
Yes.
Yeah, look, I am on the exact same page as you guys here. I really enjoyed it. I loved it, but I do agree with Briony. It's definitely not on ACOTAR level, but I think it's a different vibe, you know, and I think, like, it's definitely different from the usual books that I read, but I'm all here for it. It's not got any incest, so that's a bonus.
I was very happy there was no people fucking that were related.
No, correct. But again, it starts off really slow and I'm a little bit confused. I don't know really where we are. I don't know where we're going. I don't really know what the fuck is going on. But, hey, that's just a fantasy world-building experience for you. You really just kind of don't know what the fuck you're doing for at least 3 chapters. At least. Just kind of like, everything's fine. But I didn't see it coming, what she was. I mean, I don't know. I just didn't see it. And it left it a little bit unexpected for me, which I quite enjoyed. But then I really hated the fucking ending. I hate endings like that. All that building and all that slow burn just for, like, an ending like that, where I'm like, really?
Just for one almost fade to black sex scene.
That it reminds me of Kingdom of the Wicked.
Yeah.
That type of, like, we just want you guys to fuck. And then stop with the miscommunication.
No. The book continues. Well, it starts, I should say. I have no idea what I'm saying. What's words? And we get a full-page photo of our main character, Cassia. Goes by Cass. Love that for her. And like I said, I love the imagery. She's got, like, silver hair. Basically, she's got the fading sickness, so she's just faded the fuck out. Just reduce the saturation. No hair colour, no eye colour. She's a pasty bitch. I love it. Very relatable with the pastiness. But then when you flip over the page, you also get, like, a hierarchy of the gods table thing, which I also promptly ignored, but it was helpful when I went back to do my notes. I'm just going to ignore it, though, now. And then we also got 2 maps, which was one of the Sundolian Empire and one of the Kethran Empire. Sundolian was, I think that's the dragon people. Kethran was where we're at. That was the vibes I got. I don't know if I'm correct.
Yes. That makes sense.
It does.
Georgia did not pay attention to the maps, nor where we were at all.
Well, I don't like it when they put the maps. Well, obviously they have to put the maps in the beginning because otherwise where else are you going to put them? But I always look at it before I read the book and then never
Yes, there's no context.
So I'm always just like, oh, okay, cool. That's a lot of, like, especially with Nevernight, I found like there was a lot of places on the Nevernight map, and because they were all fucking bones and organs, I was like, where are we? What has happened?
I agree. I find maps can be, like, you need them, or do you? Actually, I don't agree with that so much. I don't know that you necessarily need a map all the time. Not in the first book.
Sometimes just maybe at the end.
Yeah.
As you're going, just give you little snippets of the map, and then at the end give you the
I
whole
like
map.
that.
Okay.
That's good.
Like a chapter summary. We're here. You are here.
Yes.
You are here. There's an X marks the spot, and then you travelled here. X marks the spot.
Yes, I like that. We shall suggest that too.
That's what they did in Emperor's New Groove. It worked then.
Ah, don't change what's not broke.
Yes.
Oh, God.
Well, a little side note here, guys. The artwork that we're referring to, there's like a photo of, an image of Cassia at the beginning of the book, and then there's an image of Alander at the back of the book. That was done by Nataliebernardart.
Yes.
So she's very, very talented. It just so happens that her depiction of Alander is not Henry Cavill.
Yeah.
Which is just a shame.
Nothing against Natalie, because she did portraits for, like, all of the characters for the series. Like, so you've got all of them. She was very comprehensive, and I love that for her.
Also, it's very unfortunate that she did not draw him as Henry
Look,
Cavill.
She hadn't met
Look,
us
if
yet.
I did have talent. No.
True.
If I did have
still
talent,
has not.
all of my characters would be Henry Cavill. Like, if I was to write...
It's
I
just
know.
Henry Cavill in a dress.
Henry Cavill.
Yeah, it's
Henry
6 foot
Cavill.
in
Henry
dress.
Cavill dates Henry Cavill. Drake
Pretty
dates
much.
Henry Cavill.
Reverse harem Henry Cavill.
His mother is reverse harem. Henry Cavill. The mother, the father, they're all Henry Cavill.
There's Henrietta. There's just different variations.
That's it.
Oh, no.
Okay.
Yeah, the dog's
Right.
also named Henry Cavill.
Henry Cavill. With their little chin dimples.
Oh,
Oh.
that chin dimple fuffed me up, Sam. It's been a hot minute since we've really thirsted over Henry Cavill on this podcast.
Yeah, we need to bring him back.
I'm
into
so
the
glad
fold.
we're back.
I will roll into a ball and rest in his chin dimple.
That just reminds me of that Step Brothers.
I want to, curl you up into a ball and shove you up my
Oh my god.
Which, that's actually...
No. No.
Okay. The Jubilee. That's happening at the moment. The
How
Queen.
are you segueing that to the Queen?
Because has anyone heard the leaked phone calls between Prince Charles and Camilla when they were like dating, but Diana was still on the scene?
No.
Because there is a reference to Prince Charles saying that he wished he could be her tampon. So he could be with her or in her all the time. Mm-hmm.
Well, you're not in her all the time, otherwise that's toxic shock, Charles.
It would be, but I think I've just given Georgia an aneurysm. Okay, I found the transcript.
Oh no.
Charles, oh God, I'll just live inside your trousers or something. It would be much easier. Camilla, laughing. What are you going to turn into, a pair of knickers? Or are you going to come back as a pair of knickers? Charles, oh, God forbid a Tampax, just my luck. Camilla, you're a complete idiot. Oh, what a wonderful idea. Charles, my luck to be chucked down a lavatory and go on forever, swirling round on the top, never going down. Camilla laughing. Oh, darling.
What are you talking about?
Oh my
I've
god, we
had
can't
enough.
do this. No.
I hate that entire
was so-
conversation. It just gave me the ick.
I think it gave me indigestion.
What the fuck?
How did we get here?
I don't know.
So, we start off, and basically we get thrown right in to meet our main character, Cassia. I love a book with a good opening line, and this one certainly delivered, which was Cassia hated thunderstorms because they reminded her of the night she watched her mother kill her father.
I was like, oh damn, that is murder. That
It
is
is.
murder. In the first sentence, that is
Murder.
trauma and that is murder. Very
Murder.
stressful.
Sets the
It
tone.
does. Along with this, we also discover that our MC has ongoing bouts of anxiety. And I thought this was really amazing. I loved it in the book and I thought it was handled really well. Yeah, I just loved it.
Yeah, look, we're all here for that because anxiety. We feel you, girl. We feel you. We also find out in this moment that she is some badass. We don't know exactly what, but she's about to fight a rock
Yeah, what the
viper,
fuck?
which No, I don't know. I don't know whatever the fuck that is, but I don't want it. And we also find out that she's trying to get to this place called Oblivion to investigate what the King Emperor, because he's not one or the other, he's both combined, is up to. And we also find out that her and her friends are rebels / petty criminals.
Yeah. The Emperor King patriarchy conglomerate human basically has his peacekeepers in Oblivion, and that's why they're going to find out. And also, that's terrifying, because you just know that if someone's called their armed military force peacekeepers, they are not in fact peacekeeping. They are not peacekeepable. Peacekeepable?
They're not
Peacekeepable. Yes.
Peaceful. Peaceful.
No.
I have also seen the Hunger Games, so I know how this works. Can't pull a fast one on me.
Moving on. We're based in Bloodstone, which sounds like a beautiful place, and we find out about the fading sickness and how it's been ravaging the Catherine Empire for the past few decades. It kind of sounds like a fucked up version of COVID.
Yeah, look, so the spicy cough has hit the land.
Essentially. So the next part is all over the shop, really. So basically she gets to the Bone God's Pass, which is like in the Oblivion, yada, 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 and is just able to like waltz on through. And she's like, oh, this should have been a little bit harder. Where's like the boss that I'm meant to meet and fight so I can level up? He's just not there.
I love that.
So
Exactly.
she doesn't trust it.
And she shouldn't.
And good thing she doesn't, because there is a quote here. Luck was a lesser spirit that only the lazy and the foolish prayed to.
So, yes, she gets to the passage and she trips over, like, these two dead bodies that they had no pulse, neck minute, when she keeps walking past them. Boom! They're there and are trying to kill her. Footnote, insert footnote. This is the TikTok song, I'm alive and I'm dead. I'm alive again. I'm looking at you. Fuck you. I'm dead again.
Is that the job?
Yes.
Can I?
My only remark here is speedy zobbies.
Speedy zombies. Oh, fuck. Oh, dear. Anyway. I know.
Look, so because our main character is obviously a badass, she's fending off the reanimated corpses, and I really enjoy that the writer put in a description here of her training. So, like, she's swinging a sword, and the quote is, Cass twisted her torso, drawing strength from her core as she'd been taught to do, and the blade proved sharp enough to manage the rest of the job. And I just really liked that little descriptive moment of her using her core. She's doing Pilates and she's getting her inner strength. I love that.
Can't relate.
You
Cannot plank.
Could not lift a sword to save my fucking life.
Yeah, couldn't lift it, let alone wield it. No.
It is. It's only for show. We also find out that she's got good aim with a bow and arrow, and she ends up shooting one of them in the head, and then they both die. So that's good, I guess. And then we just skip that and go to the next chapter.
Which, now that I think of it, these reanimated zombies don't make a reappearance throughout the book
they don't.
At all.
Very random.
They don't.
Okay.
So they're just here. They're just chilling. I'm assuming they'll come back.
They may.
We don't know, but unless Ellie has Googled the spoilers again, which then
I have not. I
shan't.
I have not.
Look, next chapter, we start off and we get our first proper mentions towards like some magic crystals. There's like one for earth and fire, etc. Which all I can think about is like some fucking indie bitches going to Coachella trying to be witches and just whipping out some rose quartz and saying Mercury is in retrograde.
You're very correct, because a lot of influencers are turning a bit witchy now.
They're like, it's cool.
Like, that's the new thing.
I'm a pagan and vegan.
So after that, we meet Cass's little non-family family. So first we have Raya, She's blind and has a fox called Silverfoot, who is automatically our favourite character. Yes. And then there's also Laurent and Zev. Laurent is like the boss man, kind of, but not really. And Zev is like the annoying brother. Cass, Zev, and Laurent head off to investigate the Oblivion and need to get a closer look into the mist, because there's this weird mist that's sort of surrounding the gates of the area and they can't really see into it. They don't really know what's going on. So Laurent goes into the mist to get proof so they can report back to like the Lord who sort of sent the mercenaries out on this little quest. And he takes an air crystal that was gifted to him from one of the influencers that had just attended Coachella. So he was gripping the air crystal, but then he never emerges from the mist.
Come on.
Done. Done. I was waiting for it.
It was sweet. I knew you were. I'm like, I'm just going to let her do it.
Oh, look.
Thank you. So, of course, because Cass is our badass MC, she goes in after him, and we love that for her. And then from this point, we meet Mystery Man numero uno. And I was wondering who we were going to fuck, and this must be it.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Forgot who we were meeting then.
Yeah, at first I was like, you're meeting all the characters. I'm like, all right, are we fucking Laurent? No, I don't think we're fucking Laurent. Are we fucking Zev? No, he's too brotherly. We're not doing incest again. Maybe it's the man, I can't see his face.
Must be that man. Are we fucking him? We don't know yet. We get this little description of him. And it is, his head was wrapped in a thick scarf and every other inch of his body was covered in some way, save for a strip that revealed a pair of blue eyes and beige skin. Against the blackness, those eyes were oddly bright, arresting, really, and inhuman and harsh, and yet beautiful. If Oblivion was an ocean of nightmares, here was a reminder that morning still existed. Even here, and that there was still a sky above it all, a cold, steely blue sky that she couldn't stop staring at. Until he attacked her.
That was read beautifully.
That is like such...
Thank
that
you.
was a well done, Georgia. That was absolutely stunning. But also, that is a very elaborate description when you can only see someone's eyes. That's
Right.
a lot.
I was very much like, just say, like, his head was wrapped in a scarf, his
But
body
his
was wrapped
eyes
in
were
a
fucking
scarf.
gorgeous. But look, from here, they then get into an altercation. There's fisticuffs. During the fight with this man, Cass is remarking on the fact that he's, like, really, really strong. Like, too strong. And, like, he has this magic sword that's marked by, like, one of the middle gods. And she's like, that is very intriguing. But she ignores that. Cass is then basically, like, she's holding up against him, but only barely. And then he's making banter with her while she's fighting. Like, they've got these masks on because of the mist. And he's like, how are you even, like, alive still? That mask is shit. And she's like, aha, distraction. I love a dramatic unveiling. And just, like, pulls her mask off and goes, Grandmummy, it's me, Anastasia.
Oh, no! No! Brony!
Thank you. But yeah, so we find out in this moment that Cass is fade marked, which means that she basically, like I said, she's desaturated. She's got grey silver hair and like silver white eyes, and she's just like a bloody white paint patch. You know, like the colour swatches you get from Bunnings. She's like that. Anyways, so she fights her way out of the mist because he's distracted by her silvery goodness, and she loses the mystery blue-eyed man, but she also lost the crystal in the brawl, and that was meant to be the way they got paid for this job. Anyways, we digress. We get this quote at the beginning of the next chapter from Cass, which really explains what fade marked is, which is, I never get sick, she insisted. She also rarely got hungry or tired like a normal person did. She had suffered in other stranger ways since the fading sickness had taken hold of her as a child, and she was always waiting for the day that it fully woke up and consumed her as it had so many others. But for whatever reason, it still hadn't happened yet. Which is interesting. So basically she's got the spicy cough, and the spicy cough does take out nearly everyone else really quickly, really dramatically, but she's been alive for fucking yonks with it.
Yeah, she's got that natural immunity.
Yeah, you know.
She's also probably triple vaxxed.
She's triple vaxxed.
She's probably triple vaxxed. And she's also probably taking her zinc and
immune
her
support.
turmeric and ginger tablets.
Yeah.
Yes, probiotics. Well, now that we know that she is a well-kept, silver-eyed... The silver eyes, I don't know. I can get it behind silver hair, but grey or silver eyes...
I love it. I love it. It's something about, like, you guys know me. Look at me. I'm sitting here in a black beanie with my black hair and my black hoodie. I'm very one tone, so it's very satisfying for me.
From there, we get a snowball of information. So strap your titties in. Let's get into it. So we find out the old king tried to hunt down the rare people who had survived the fading sickness. She is not the only one that has survived. The ones that he managed to hunt down ended up disappearing in bunny ears randomly. That king ended up dying from the sickness, as did his wife, which left their only son, the new king, emperor.
Patriarchal
He sounds like a
conglomerate.
bit of a douche. Yeah, random head of state.
Yeah.
So from this point, they go to a bar.
Relatable.
And she's wearing a hood. She has like this magic spell on her that makes her hair brown instead of grey and makes her look like she doesn't have the sickness. But she notices from the other side of the bar there is a man staring at her. And I knew from the get-go that this was going to be Blue Eyes, but that's fine.
Yeah.
But I was also like, oh, it's happening.
I love it. And I was also, like Ellie said, very from Blood and Ash vibes. Like, they're in Bloodstone and they're in a pub. There's a mysterious man.
Yep.
She's about to, like, it's all happening.
Yep. It is very
I also
Blood-ish.
really loved the description of that he was so tall, the way his legs had to be placed under the table, like how he had to man-spread, essentially, so he fit.
Like, this is too much, which is Henry Cavill.
Henry Cavill.
Those thighs
It
can't
is.
deal with a normal table.
They cannot.
Again, the best way to die, Henry Cavill's thighs.
Yes.
Oh,
We
that
can all
pipe!
agree.
It was beautiful!
That should go on a
Guys.
candle.
Thighs.
Oh, dear. Anyway, so Zev ends up daring her to steal the guy's bracelet because he's wearing this nice little bracelet. And she's like, no. But then the guy gets up to leave. And she's like, okay, all right, I'll do it. And she goes to follow him under the guise that she is going to be his fuck for the night. Anyway,
I love
we get
that.
this quote. Yeah, yep, love it. We get this quote. You'll see how wonderfully it's gone in just a few minutes when I re-emerge with that bracelet in my hand. And Zev goes, I hope he lasts more than a few minutes for you, friend. And then she goes to his room and she's standing out front of his room and she's like, you know, when you're having that, you're like, oh shit. Or like you're walking up to like talk to somebody, you're like, oh shit, should I be talking to this person? Or do I want to talk to this person? Or I regret every moment. I don't want to be your friend. I don't want to talk to you. She's having the internal like monologue of like, maybe I should just turn around. And then the door opens. Dun, dun, dun! So, this mystery man number 2, because he's number 2, no, dos.
Number dos.
It's dos. He has blue eyes, like mystery man numero uno. Insert footnote. We all suspect that the mystery men are the same man. We just are here for the journey.
Thank you for the clarification. So, our dear Cass is not very good at flirting, and I feel that on a very personal level. I just, as an already socially awkward human being, when you try and make me flirt, it is not a good time for anyone that's involved. Bystanders, participants.
So I have a stash of sexy jokes that I like to inflict on my partner. And I've literally got a notes on my phone so I remember them all. So
Yes.
I really don't know what's gotten into me lately, but I honestly wish it was you.
Oh, good.
Brilliant.
I really liked this one. I want to play Barbies. You can be Ken and I can be the box you come in.
Oh,
my goodness gracious me.
oh.
And then just one more. You know, as long as you have a face, I have a really nice place to sit.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Well, look, I can flirt with I was about to say my current partner. As if like I'm about to
Yeet him.
No. I can flirt with Lockie. Like, I mean, I don't even really need to flirt. I just need to like suggestively walk past him in shorts.
Feel like I have a collarbone.
okay. Pretty much. Whereas if I was out in the wild again, on the prowl, I would not be okay.
Yeah, no, I would
At all.
not. I never want to be single again because that's too much. The whole dynamic is different out there now. It's vicious.
It is.
Nothing.
Anyways,
Anywho, that's not a
distractions.
problem we need to think about. So she's not very good at flirting, neither are we, as is established, apart from Briony's note section of jokes.
Yes.
That apparently doesn't really matter because he wanted to ask a local some questions. And that's why he kept staring at her, which, you know, that sounds convincing, because she seemed the most sober of the people downstairs. So all of this making lots of sense. So she goes inside to his room to chat.
Converse.
To chat.
Mm-hmm.
And like throughout this moment, because you've got to remember, Georgia writes these notes as she's going. So Georgia doesn't know, like this Georgia who's reading this doesn't know what future Georgia knows. So Georgia's thinking, who is he? He thinks one of his men sent her up to his room. So I'm like, he's obviously in some kind of power. So who is he? And I am thinking, like the Georgia who was reading this at the time was thinking that the two mystery men were the same, which they are. So I inserted a footnote here saying, GD thought that this was indeed the King Emperor. GD was very wrong. He is not the King Emperor.
No.
That would have been incest.
Yeah, that definitely would have been incest. Yeah, indeed. So we get this quote because they're having a little bit of banter, a little bit of bants. So she says, it's Azalea. Azalea? Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, is it Iggy Azalea?
Yes, yes.
Look, I'm Australian rapper. Iggy Azalea.
Yeah.
Have you heard my music?
Oh my goodness. What's one of the classics? I can't even
Fancy.
come to mind.
The quote is, it's Azalea. And he says, like the flower? She says, no. She pretended to take a sip of her drink. Like the elven warrior queen that single-handedly slaughtered a legion of men at the Battle of Scatter Sun Ridge. So that's like, can you imagine just like being like, oh, like he's like the flower? She's like, no, like this person who slaughtered a whole legion of men, and it's amazing.
Like, your name's Catherine. Oh, like you know, like a very generic name, Catherine. No, like Catherine the Great, like conqueror.
That's cool. They banter, and then Neckman, he's got her pressed to the wall, and he is kissing the sensitive skin behind her ear. And she's, of course, very uncomfortable because, again, can't flirt. So she goes, I just noticed that's a fine-looking sword over there. He looked confused for a fraction of a moment, and then the corner of his mouth lifted again. Not the finest one I own. He did not just say that, but he had. And, oh, he was clearly growing very amused with her now.
Look, it's at this moment where she goes, oh, shit. I recognise that sword. That is a very special fancy sword from Oblivion. Oh, no.
Uh-huh.
But, so she does this moment where, like, he goes to her way and she just whips out a dart gun, because she's just got a dart gun, and just spitball, gone. And then he catches, like, first dart hits him. She's going again, because she's just like, poo, 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 poo. And so then he catches the second dart midair, and oh gosh, that's not good. But then he's down, and she's like, I should stop here, but I'm not going to. I'm going to steal the bracelet seal. So she takes it and she's like, running away. She's like, haha, win the bet, wicked. Next minute, she's in the lobby. They're just chilling. And then he's back. How did he get up there? How did he recover from that? It seems all very mysterious. So now they're running.
And again, reminiscent of Speedy Zobbies.
Speedy zombies!
You're like, wow, you like, that's a lot of sleeping dart that you just got up from, but that's fine. Moral of the story, they get away. It's all too much.
So then we learn of another character by the name of Azra. She is also trademarked and is basically like Cass's mum kind of figure. Unfortunately, she is not doing very well. She needs to get her affairs in order.
Needs to do a will.
Anywho, can you tell we all work in law firms? We get the backstory about the new Emperor's Groove and what happened when Azra and she first met. So apparently, when Cass was a small one, she was gravely injured when she was caught stealing something. And the then Emperor punished her. Well, his men punished her by like whipping the shit out of her, which is how she got this little scar on the corner of her jaw, which is shaped like a crescent moon.
Very intriguing.
Interesting to note. Very intriguing. And the young prince was in the carriage at the time watching this whole scene unfold and didn't do a fucking thing. But I'm also like, if he's a 10-year-old, what is he going to do?
But I think the main thing was he just seemed cold and indifferent. Not like I have to be indifferent because I'm a 10-year-old watching my dad and his men beat another 10-year-old. But problematic.
Yes. Anywho, Azra is the person who saved Cass from that and treated her, healed her, then essentially raised her and all of the other little gang of...
She's the Dumbledore.
She's Peter Pan.
Okay, Dumbledore I understand. Peter Pan, not so much.
I don't know, the Lost Boys? I don't know.
Look, there's a thread there. I'll follow
Kinda.
it.
I guess from here on out, she doesn't grow up, does she?
She does not. She dead. She died.
She did.
She eats the chat.
She does indeed. Let's hope she got those affairs in order. Next little bit. So we've had a little flashback to how we met Azra, and now Cass in present time is going to sell the bracelet she stole from Blue Eyes to pay for medicine for Azra.
So in this next moment, we meet this little darling called Nessa, who is called a feather kind. And the quote is, Nessa was not a true healer, but she was capable of creating small supernatural waves of comfort that could temporarily alter a person into believing they had been healed. And I don't know where the nearest Nessa is, but I want one to follow me around for eternity.
Yeah, look fair.
Thank you.
Really? That's an interesting take because I couldn't stand this character.
I found her annoying.
Oh, really?
I find people who are like eternally optimistic and happy a little bit disturbing.
I just was like, look, if she can heal all of my worries in life, I would be a lot less stressed.
I feel like the underlying level of stress would still be there. I'd just be then stressed about the stress that I'm not feeling.
Oh,
If
God.
that makes sense.
You'd just give...
Knowing how my brain works.
Fair.
I feel like if it's supernatural, it might just take away it all.
I mean, I'd hope it would. But yes, people who are just like unnaturally happy, not my vibe. But she says more about me. I realise this.
Look, moral of the story, Laurent and Nessa come with her to go get the medicine because they're like, it's a learning experience. Anyways, in this next bit, as they're going to get the medicine, we discover that Laurent is part elf. Is this relevant? We don't know. Will we find out? Unsure.
I actually really like Cass. This is when I was like, yes, Cass, you are my vibe. Because she's not like almighty and non-fearful like a lot of these MCs are. She's just like real. Like she still gets anxious even though she's trained for it, which is expected because of the adrenaline and whatnot. And I just feel like it's not unbelievable at, like, there are certain points where I'm like, okay, whatever. But like there's a lot of the time where I'm like, yeah, like I would be stressed the fuck out if I was Even though even if I was trained to use a sword, I would be stressed the fuck out fighting a man
100%.
with a sword. And she is. So
100%.
yes. We then move on from there, and she ends up meeting with Darkhand, which these just sound like Star Wars villains.
Yeah, look.
It's fine. He basically is your run-of-the-mill creep, and unfortunately he is the supplier of these special flowers that help as for sickness. So we get this quote: "I am, of course, always open to alternative methods of payment." She scowled. "That would be overpaying what I owe, and I'm afraid I don't do that. Bad business, you know. You honestly think you're worth more than the enormous sum you owe me? Yes, and I assure you that you can't afford what I'm actually worth." I was like, get it, girl, get it. Power
of the pussy. Darkhand obviously doesn't trust her, but she doesn't trust him either. And there's all these people in the room. It's really dark around her. She's not in a good spot. He ends up pressing a knife to her chest and makes her beg for the flowers, which she does. She barely does it, but she does. And then he proceeds to cut her mouth. And at this age, I thought he was doing like a Joker grin, and I was like, oh my God, that's a lot. But he doesn't. She ends up stabbing him in the wrist, gets the flower, and then kind of doing that tussle, but then his men hold him back, and you're like, that's unusual.
So it is unusual, but everyone's a bit distracted, and we don't really know why. Because George's notes say neckmin, and I just haven't seen that referenced in such a long time. I'm really here for it.
Neckmin.
Neck minute. There's a portal that just randomly appears, and all of Darkhand's men leave through it. He says he's going to make her pay for this, but then he just runs away.
He's like,
Goodbye.
I'll make you pay for this later.
At a later time. We will
TBA.
reconvene.
We will circle back to this conversation, put a pin in it. So what's really happening, we don't know.
Look, from here, we then realise kind of what I think is why they're leaving. It's that the peacekeepers are coming to raid the house. And in fact, it's not just peacekeepers, it's Blue Eyes. Basically, everyone is captured. Laurent, Nessa, and everything. She finds out she stole the bracelet from basically the captain of the guard, the Death Speaker, which is the right hand to the king, emperor, patriarchal conglomerate. And
The Kale.
Oh, yeah.
Ellie doesn't know who the Kale is.
He is Kale. The whole time he's fucking Kale. But then from that, Laurent, Nessa, and Cass proceed to try and fight their way out. It doesn't work. They're outnumbered. Blue Eyes almost kills Nessa. Our girl Cass isn't very happy about this, and so he ends up using his gifts of death on Cass. And, she's talking about, it's all smothering. It feels cold. But then somehow she just, stumbles through it and slaps him, and he's like, the fuck?
Just imagine him his eyes are rolled backwards. He's like, and there's this storm, and she's just running through and just fucking whacks him.
She's like, no, absolutely not.
And then she says, I can be your friend if you let my friends go. And he says yes. So they walk. She was lying. Just a quick side note. She was lying. So they walk back, and a little fight breaks out with the townsfolk, the peasants. And Cass uses that as her... Sorry, they're not peasants. I just wanted to say that. And she uses that as her opportunity to escape. But she doesn't get very far. And the quote is, he wasn't using magic. He wasn't drawing any weapons. He just was sitting on her. Well, this is embarrassing. I'm like, oh.
I love that.
And you say embarrassing, I say sexy.
Sit on me,
Different
Henry Cavill.
Look. Again, best way to die. Please sit on me, Henry Cavill. Smother me with your thighs.
Yes.
We're here for it.
The banter, as per usual, is just ace. But then we flash forward, and she's being held in a cell. But she has a fire crystal, which she snuck in her boot, and they didn't find, which I do like a good boot trick. It's very Sheriff Woody. And she's trying... She's basically...
Wait.
There's a snake in my boot.
Did you...
There's a snake in his boot, but it's not
It's
a snake.
fire
It's
crystal.
a fire crystal.
And which it actually kind of works because basically she's trying to escape and she uses the fire crystal to escape. And it's very brutal. So she basically like uses that to summon, it's like a snake rope situation, moving fire noodle. And then
Noodle.
Fire noodle.
like, she commands the fire noodle, which it's scarier than it sounds. Like, I don't want the brutality of this scene to be lost in the fact that it's a noodle. So she commands it, and it's just like going around. It curls around bars, it melts metal, and then it just curls around people and just burns people. She's like fucking it up. And it's like, yes, I love that for you, but also, oh my god, that's a lot.
I pictured fuck, what's his name off Guardians of the Galaxy with his fucking whistle
Oh.
thing.
Yep,
That
look
thing.
fair. And then the Silverfoot, the gorgeous foxy fox, is there, and they're like
Foxy
the foxy fox. Silverfoot is helping her escape, basically, and like kind of checking passageways and all of that. It's very cute. They barely escape when dun dun dun, Blue Eyes is back. They're like crossing a lake, and he like grabs her, and then her magic wears off, and he's like, she's back to being Silver because this whole time she has been in disguise. Remember? And he's like, oh my god, it's you. And you think that he's going to be like, aha, you're captured. But instead he goes, we need to get you out of this palace now. Do we have a bad guy turned good guy trope? Maybe.
Yeah, let's hope so. So he's basically trying to get her out of the palace, but he's not very good at his communicating. So it's constant miscommunication. It's fine. And then next minute, the King Emperor is here. The Emperor wants to have her for brunch, but not literally eat her because that's a cannibal, or like the smut books eat her. But he just wants to have some scones and shit because that's not very strange. The whole thing is very odd to me. I was a bit like, why are we having lunch? Why are we having brunch? It's a bit odd. You know?
Of course. So, Blue Eyes isn't very happy about this. But apparently the Emperor is rather liked by the servants. So, obviously that means he's an amazing person. So we're here for the journey.
Whatever.
But they arrive at Brunch, which is within the palace. They haven't gone to a little cafe. They're still in the palace.
Yeah.
He knows her name. And not just her name, all of her names that she's ever used, all of her aliases, which is scary.
That's
He knows
problematic.
a lot about her.
I'm
Mhm.
just imagining.
He wants to help.
They sit down for brunch, and he's like, hello, you.
Essentially, that's what exactly happened. He Joe Goldberged her.
Yeah.
But he wants her to help cure the peasants. And she's like, I do have a peasant in mind that I'd like to cure. So potentially we could align our causes and cure all of the peasants. That is the goal. So, at this point we're sort of thinking, well, it doesn't seem that bad. Why was Blue Eyes so fucking scared of him? We're a little bit conflicted. Also, she has gone her entire life believing the narrative that this, emperor was all types of evil and what's fucked up with the world. And after, a little chit-chat and some baked goods, she's like, yeah, I could be wrong about all of that. Let's just see how this goes.
It's amazing what
And
a
it's
smashed
like-
Abbott can do.
It is. The power of brunch may be as much or more compelling than the power of the pussy.
Take it back.
I mean, a beautifully poached egg with the bright hollandaise.
Oh, I do love a runny egg yolk.
With a little bit of crispy bacon.
Hash brown.
Not as crispy as the people she burnt, but crispy.
Oh my god.
Ellie?
All right.
Are you okay?
Fuck it up, fam. Jesus.
No.
All right.
They continue chatting, but then scream. Georgia, take it away. Scream.
That hurt a lot.
One high pitched. It could have been worse.
Oh, fuck. The king then does something very unking-like and runs towards the scream Cass is shook. Cass is shook.
A cashew nut appears.
I don't know if you can tell, but my brain's doing that thing where it puts two words together. Oh my god. Look, Cashew is following the king, and Blue Eyes is there. Oh my gosh. And then there's a dead woman, and she's died from the sickness. And this next bit really confused me, because like the quote you get is, but it wasn't simply some unknown woman. It was the mother she'd lost. It was Azra. It was herself. And my brain went, hold on. So is Azra already in the castle and she's dead now? And then I realised it was like, we're all of us with the fading sickness.
Yes.
We're all, okay.
We are one. We are one.
We are one. We are many.
And from all the lands.
The lands on earth we come.
We share a dream.
And we sing, we stab with one voice, with one hand, with one sword.
I am.
You are, we are the
We
fading
are.
sickness.
Sick of sicknesses. Down with the sickness.
Fucking hell. We're actually in a musical. This has changed. We're not a book and a bev.
Surprise.
We're a book, a musical, and a lot of bevs.
And a lot of bevs coming to you soon.
I thought you said and a lot of bebs. A lot of bebs.
Oh
A lot of
God.
Anyway. So this woman actually only got the sickness 12 days ago. And so Cass like, she died that quickly. That's a problem. And along with this, we also find out that Blue Eyes has a nickname. And it's called the Death Speaker, which is very literal because he can, in fact, talk to the dead. And we also find out this fun little tidbit about the faded sickness people. And the quote is, "For those who have passed from the fade, when they depart to the afterlife, he trailed off, looking frustrated. Nothing but silence." Elanda finished. I was really going to say Blue Eyes, but I was like, Georgia, you can say
I'm
his
so
name.
proud
it's
of
like
you.
this Orlando.
No, thank you.
The king is now a little over Cass's shit. He has to go deal with shit. And
With,
she's
like, other
left-
shit.
Other
shit
non-cast
happening.
related shit.
Shit.
Other
Okay.
king, emperor,
Glad-
patriarchal conglomerate shit.
Shit. So she's left with Blue Eyes. And the quote is, he intrigued her, which for some reason only made her want to stab him more.
Knife gank.
True.
Knife kink. Then we meet Annika, who's just a peasant. No, she's a servant, and she doesn't really matter much to the plot, but we're going to mention her because all people matter.
Remember, I'm sure it will
okay?
come back.
We are one, we are many. She then drifts off to sleep, and when she falls asleep, she has a dream.
What she dreams about is like a winged woman bathed in white, whatever. The woman doesn't speak and she doesn't help, and then this wolf comes out and just fucking tries to eat her, basically. And like, you know, that's really unfortunate, but it's nothing in comparison to the dream that I used to experience as a child, which was I was laying in a field of like flowers, and over this grass hill there would be, you know, the happy tree friend bunnies. They would come
No.
over jumping over the hill. That's really unfortunate. You should look it up. It might scar you for life. They would come
Okay.
over the top of the hill with AK-47s and shoot me, and I just couldn't move. And it was like sleep paralysis, but I'm lying in this field of flowers with these bunnies. So, yeah.
Georgia.
It's very traumatic, but
What
Not as traumatic as
in
that.
the actual fuck?
yeah. Don't know why. But it was a recurring dream that I had as a child.
Okay.
I'm so
Do you want to know
concerned.
my terrifying nightmare as a 6-year-old?
Oh yeah, go.
Yeah.
Tweety Bird kidnapped my dad on a golf course.
Okay, you think my dream's fucking weird?
So perhaps we would take Cass's dream about the wolf and the weird gold person.
Well, that's exactly right. Hers is traumatic, but so is mine.
We all have trauma, Cass. What of it?
Yeah, move the fuck on.
I like Cass. And that's like one of the reasons I like this main character is because she's not trying to be like super narrow-minded about everything. Like we've established before in other episodes, we don't like it when a character is being handed new information and they're like, no, I'm going to not consider anything. That's not our gal. She's like, well, maybe I'm not seeing the full truth here because I'm refusing to believe anything other than what I've been told. But hey, like, she's trying. She's honestly considering her options, and that's throughout the whole book. She's like, what is true? What is not? What have I learnt? Like, she's taking it all in. She's trying her best. And then the next bit is that she goes to meet the king, emperor, patriarchal conglomerate, and he's in the library.
And I really liked this because we get this quote. She walks into the library and the quote is, but before she could get any words out, she was distracted, as she so often was, by a book.
Fair.
I was like, well, can relate to that.
Very relatable, in fact.
And then we find out that Cass can't stop thinking about Blue Eyes, which, same if it's Henry Cavill, even while she's trying to have a civilised conversation with the king. They're having scones again. They come to an agreement. He's going to get their source for more of the flowers. She will help him find out more information about the fading sickness. Everyone's a winner. So he then admits to sending Blue Eyes to the oblivion. So she's like, oh, wait, Mystery Man number 1 and Mystery Man number 2 are the same person. Yes, that's what we've already
we were trying to tell
established. Cass, catch up. They talk about gods and all this other stuff, which is, you know, we don't really care. But the main part to take away from this is that the king believes the fading sickness is of divine origin, which is like the creator of the magic kind, essentially. We then learn about shades, which I feel like might be important in like later books. We don't really learn too much about it at the moment.
Yeah. So basically, Cass and King Emperor come to the conclusion that they think they're going to save the Empire. And just insert a footnote here. GD does not believe that they will do this. Not for 1 second. GD believes our badass MC will do this with the help of the Pussy Power and from her fellow Scooby-Doo gang and Blue Eyes with his many swords.
It's the Scooby-Doo
How
gang.
many swords does he have?
Blue Eyes basically comes to visit her, and the quote is, could we talk somewhere a bit more private, perhaps? Her whole body reacted strangely to this suggestion. Strangely and traitorously. I love it. And then, like, he looks over at her, and she's, like, just wearing a nightgown.
She's just in her knickers.
Look.
She's in her birthday suit, presenting.
Look. And then this next bit gives me, like, ultimate Ellie energy. The quote is, her lip curled in annoyance. Not only had he shown up here and insisted on barging into her room, but he had also decided to look even better than usual while he did it. The audacity.
That sounds like me. Hello? I always find something to be annoyed at.
And then we get this like tension-filled moment, like he doesn't trust the king and doesn't want her to trust the king. And the quote is, something tells me that Miss Azalea isn't, nor will she ever be, interested in servicing you again. The smile slowly spreading across his face was devastating enough on its own. The low, dulcet tones he next spoke in were simply unfair. I'll stick with Thorn then, I suppose. And she has a nickname.
So her response to this is, I hate you so much. And then he goes, fantastic. It's like, I love your dynamic. I'm a part of it. I'm here for it.
Oh.
Let's fight.
And on that fantastic note, they're then going to investigate some murders. Also fantastic.
Death and Dick, that's what we're about.
It is.
So now we're riding horses. Daryl Braithwaite's here. She's a great rider. She's a good rider. She's part of the Saddle Club in a former life. Likely Stevie. I'm getting Stevie vibes.
I'd be alarmed if she was anyone else.
We meet the riding group, which are some people who like just arrested her like a few chapters ago. And now she's like joining them. She's like, hey guys. And they're like, what the fuck? We also meet Caden and Tara, who are Blue Eyes like minions. Then King Emperor, he sees them off and says, take care of one another, you two. I'm expecting great things from this partnership. You and me.
All of
both.
us, collectively.
Yes. We're all expecting great things from this. Yes.
So look, they're traversing, they are travelling, they are on a mission, it's fantastic. But then there's a blockade, so then they have to take some weird new route because apparently the other route is haunted. Is it route or route? I'm now unsure.
I don't know, either or, I think. I think it's just like a pick your journey kind of
Yeah.
vibe.
Yeah.
Look, and then they're basically making camp outside a very creepy forest because that seems like the best decision you could make. And she starts noticing some weird animal in the forest trees is just like giving her eyes. But when she looks away and comes back, it's gone. Very unsettling. But instead of, she doesn't have the same reaction I do. And instead she goes, I'm going to go into the dark, spooky forest, even though I'm specifically told not to, and investigate. Famous last words, every horror movie ever. She goes in to the forest and then proceeds to get lost. And then she finds like this weird shadow creature called Kiri, which is like a god type thing.
Yeah, like short for Kiralee.
I was wondering
Kiralee.
where you were going with that. It was answering her, which seems very unusual. And she's just like, yo, bro, can you just let us pass? Like, we just want to chill. And, like, no issues? Sick. It, like, we don't know if it listened. It disappears. And she's like, cool beans. When she returns to the camp, no one believes her. And she's pissed about it. She also barely sleeps at all, and I cannot relate because I do not cope if I have not had a decent sleep. So she's been a bit sulky and a bit awake and a bit anxious, and she's not just a bit anxious, she's having a full-blown anxiety attack because it's also a storm, and we know that's triggering for her. When Blue Eyes comes over to apologise that he had to be, like, mean in front of her when no one was believing her because otherwise the others would know that he plays favourites. And she's getting a bit hot and bothered and all of that, but we get this gorgeous scene where Alander comes over, like, while he's apologising to her, and she's in the middle of this anxiety attack. She's basically trying to scare him off because she's having a shit time, but he's not budging. And, like, he just stays with her, and then she's like, look, you're not the issue, I'm having a bit of a moment. And he asks her to explain how it feels to him. And the quote is, but oh, how to put it into words. And that was just, I was like, oh, yeah, that's very relatable, actually. And eventually she's able to kind of breathe around her anxiety and explains that, well, I guess it's like everything feels so weighted. Suddenly it feels like every breath, every inch I try to move might end in disaster. So I can hardly breathe, I can hardly move, and I can't make it go away. I can't turn it off, can't lift that weight from my chest to my lungs. My entire body is encased in the heaviness. And that was just I thought that was a very accurate description of anxiety and how it can feel when you're in that spiral. But she thinks of herself as well as like a rock in the ocean that can withstand anything, like the waves crash against her, but she just stays. And Alander asks if he can just sit there with her. And the quote is, so he did. He sat in the waves with her. And my heart was just like, oh, I cannot cope. I can't do it. I loved it. While they're sitting there, they have a bit of trauma bonding. And basically her adopted parents got the fading sickness first. And then her adopted mother decided to kill them all before the sickness could take them. Because as you get sicker, you kind of lose your mind and whatnot. Cass was the only survivor and got away and then was homeless. And that's where Azra found her. So
that's just trauma.
Yeah, that's fucking brutal.
It's a little bit more severe than the spicy cough.
A bit more severe than the spicy cough. And Cass is starting to say, like, don't worry about my anxiety, like, affecting the mission. I can get this done. After they bond over a trauma, Alander says, it's hardly a sign of weakness to be able to keep going in spite of the weight of all those things that you just described. And basically, this whole scene just meant so much to me. I loved it. I thought it was a really good description of anxiety. Basically, the chapter ends with Alander walking away and Cass is wanting to trust him, but feels like he's hiding something from her.
Which, insert footnote, he is.
Yeah, there are some things he is hiding.
We're in the next chapter now, and they get through pretty well. No issues. Kiralee did its job. The next morning, there's some more banter between Cass and Blue Eyes, which we love. And we find out that Caden, which is like the less than friendly minion, is a mind reader, which is fantastic. And Tyra, the other minion, is a shadow kind. So she can weave shadows and basically give people hallucinations, which sounds fun.
I love it. I love her.
So they stop in this little town, and there is a young... Have we said why they're on this mission? Essentially, the King Emperor has sent them to this little town on the outskirts of their territory because the fading sickness is just like wiping them out, and they want to find out some more information about what's going on. They get to this little town. They see that there's a lot of dead people already, so they're like, this isn't great. Then they see that there's a house and there's a few people crowding around the outside of it, so they realise someone must still be alive in here. They start having a little chat with people outside, and it's like, yes, my daughter's inside, she's dying. They go inside pretending that they're healers so they can just like suss out what's going on. And essentially, Cass goes in and holds this little girl's hand who's like comatose on the bed. Something weird happens, her hand gets all tingly. Suddenly pot plants are breaking and dying, and the girl opens her eyes. Mm-hmm. And everyone's like, oh, this is unusual. Didn't realise you could do that. And she's like, I didn't realise I could do that.
We are all surprised.
That's a new
it's
trick.
a new development.
We're all shook with. But then we get to the next chapter, and next minute they are interrupted by, and here is the quote, a monster. It stood on a distant stretch of the same street, entirely blocking her view of the centre square. It was nearly as tall as the houses hedging it, taller if the curled and wickedly pointed horns on its head counted. Its face was long, not unlike a horse's, but the flesh on that face appeared to have melted away, leaving only a narrow skull with deep sockets that glowed with a strange red light. It loafed along on 4 tall, muscular legs that made Cass think of tree trunks. They splintered at the bottom like roots with sharp ends, digging into the ground and pulling it up with every step. Its hunched back featured even more sharp points, an entire cloak of spines that waved with its movements like a field of spiny, petrified grass, rolling as the earth quaked beneath it.
As we got further, we got more confused.
So we then find out that this beast is called a Gamora, one of the ancient creatures that used to accompany the Rook god Anger. And it has been dormant for centuries, chained up in the lowest hell at the behest of the two upper gods because of its uncontrollably vicious nature. Look, it's a fucking thing. Anyway, this is good. But on a side note here, because this is what's really important, GD gets distracted by a very close Marvel reference here, and instead of interpretive dance, Georgia will do interpretive scene play. Let's go.
Do it.
Everybody stay where you are, chill the F out. I'm going to ask you this one time. Where's Gamora? Yeah, I'll do you one better. Who's Gamora? I'll do you one better. Why is Gamora? Tell me where the girl is, or I swear to you I'm going to French fry this little freak. Oh yeah? You shoot my guy, I blast him. Let's go. Do it, Quill. I can take it. No, he can't take it. She's right, you can't take it. Oh, you know what she is? That's fine. I'll kill all 3 of you and I'll beat it out of Thanos myself. Starting with you. Wait, Thanos? All right, let me ask you this one time. What master do you serve? What master do I serve? What am I supposed to say? Jesus? You're from Earth. I'm not from Earth. I'm from Missouri. Yeah, that's on Earth, dipshit. Why you hassling us for? So, you're not with Thanos? With Thanos? No. He killed my girl. Wait, who are you guys? We're the Avengers, man.
God. Oh my God.
You just... I'm in shock. That was like a one-woman play. That play-by-play was impressive. I'm a little concerned about the length of time you spent watching these movies in order to obtain that script.
I have rewatched these movies so many times. So many. But that exact scene is exactly what I thought of during this moment. Because they were like, a Gamora. And I was like, it's Gamora. It's Guardians of the Galaxy. She's alive. Here she is. Anyway, so on, just yeet past that. Blue Eyes is like, let's go. And Cass is like, what do you fucking mean? There's people who live here. we're just going to leave them? And he's like, yes. And she's like, no, I must not, because I am the strong MC and I must save their lives.
Yeah, look.
So
she runs back into danger, which again is very unrelatable, but here we are. And she's fighting the Gamora herself. We get this glorious fight sequence where even though she's scared shitless, she is like analysing the creature and goes, hey, its belly's vulnerable, and then proceeds to do like a commando slide under the belly, stabs it in the belly, and then like she's luring the creature away, making heaps of noises so that it'll follow her, and then the wall is crumbling beneath her and she does a leap off and stabs it in the eye, and then she's injured. Like, she's injured the beast, but it's trying to kill an innocent woman, and she can't get there in time. But then Blue Eyes is there and saves the girl and uses his powers to, like, stop the beast temporarily. And he's like, what the fuck, Cass? Why would you do that? And she's like, because I'm the main character, I have to. But he doesn't understand. So he goes after the monster alone. This doesn't last long because, of course, she's the main character, so she just follows. And then we have this weird-ass moment where you're, like, hallucinating, and the wolf, like the wolf from her nightmares, it stops her.
And you're like, uh-oh.
Yeah, you're like, this is, okay, that's unusual. The wolf is, like, trying to get her like it does in her nightmare. And, like, she starts to feel, like, pain in her hands, but then, no, it's not pain, it's power. And the power in her palms, like, appears kind of like what she did with the healing. And then she uses light on the wolf and it runs away. It's the whole time.
Wolf runs away. Jacob, he's fleeing the scene. So Cass takes this opportunity to go tend to Blue Eyes, who didn't really put up a great fight against Gamora. Now I'm just picturing it as that person, not actually as the wild beast with grass.
With angry grass.
Spines. Angry grass, but that's okay. So they stop for the night at an inn. We like where this is heading. She helps bandage his wounds. We like where this is heading even more. We find out in this moment that he can summon the dead. They do this like Q&A type game. So we also find out that his favourite colour is green and he loves bunny rabbits. Hopefully not the ones with the AK-47s, children.
So they banter some more, and she basically agrees to stay with him. So we get the one bed trope. And then we get this quote, I'm done for now. Good night, Thorn. Good night, my wheelbarrow warrior. Which I'm like, what? But I love it.
And we get another glorious moment, right? Like, he's sleeping and she reaches out and starts, like, tapping on his arm. As that helps her feel anchored. This will loop back around. Stay with it.
Yes. So as she's touching his arm, he basically says, you don't have to stop. I kind of like the feel of your fingers against me. Her breath hitched, audibly. He smiled without opening his eyes. Sorry, did that make you anxious? No, she lied.
I love it.
And then, you're a rather captivating combination of fearless and faint-hearted.
I love that. I love that so much.
Which gives me, like, you're such a murderous little creature, you know? Like, it gives me, like, that vibe. Cass turns around and says, you're much nicer after you've had a near-death experience. You should almost die more often, maybe. I love them. Again, he basically asks her to come to him and says, like, he won't bite unless she wants him to. And she does. She does want the bite. But she still sleeps on his chest and she feels very safe and it's very cute.
It is so cute. I loved that moment. And of course it's fucking ruined in the next scene. So she wakes up and she goes downstairs to, like, meet everyone for breakfast. And she finds out they're having, like, this little secret meeting and they're up to something, and she overhears them, like, bitching about her, essentially. So he's sort of saying to Tara and Caden, she's just harmless, like, we just need to use her kind of situation. They also keep referring to it like a mission or a plan that they've got going on, and she's like, what the actual fuck is going on? Clearly he doesn't give two shits about me, and everything thus far has been a lie. Which I'm also like, no, actions over words. You know him better than this. His favourite colour is green, goddammit. But
he likes bunnies.
Oh my god.
He likes bunnies. Here we are. So when she does meet up with him in the morning, she pretends she just woke up so that he doesn't know that she knows that what he said.
Yes. So basically, She ends up giving them the cold shoulder for the rest of the trip back to the palace. And when she arrives back there, the Scooby Gang is there. So you've got Rhea, you've got Laurent, you've got Zev, you've got Nessa, you've got Azra. She's basically like, all right, I'm going to go freshen up before she goes to meet Azra, because Azra's obviously very sick, so she's bedridden. She's off in a room somewhere. And she goes to have a bath. And, of course, when she's in the bath, someone enters the room. It is Blue Eyes. And he's basically like, please don't tell the king about what happened. And she's like, why the fuck would I trust whatever the fuck you have to say, you motherfucker? And then Zev and Nessa walk in. And they're like, oh, are we interrupting something? Because obviously she's just come out of the bath. She's in a towel. And basically Zev and Blue Eyes have a pissing contest. And Blue Eyes goes, or else. And then Zev goes, or else I will set you on fire and dance on your fucking ashes. Because Zev he's like a fire. That's his little markers for fire. So he like can fire things. So he's going to fire him.
He's going to fire him with his hands.
Look, moral of the story: she agrees not to tell the king, emperor, human, and Blue Eyes leaves them to it. They then have brunch because, of course, we do. There's a lot of smashed avocado in this book.
There's some scones.
Yeah, there's some scones. Everyone but Azra, because obviously she is unwell. And then the Emperor is meeting with some dragon people, which I think is the Sundolian Empire people anyways. And it's at this moment as they're unpacking and like debriefing each other, and Cass realizes that they are being monitored and their conversations are being listened into. So she decides, no, I want to go meet with the Emperor now.
Right now.
She does just that. She meets with the King Emperor and they discuss what happened, but not everything. So they read some books about gods and goddesses, and the book features the wolf and the gold woman from Cass's dream, not bunnies with AK-47s.
No.
And at this point, I'm starting to put everything together.
I was not.
Then she goes to visit.
Georgia and Briony were not there.
We were not. And she then goes to visit Azra, and she finds out that Azra has always felt stronger around Cass. Maybe that's her magic. Remember how she healed that girl and she was like, oh, okay, this is interesting. New trick. So Cass uses her magic on Azra's sickness and puts it into herself. She ends up fainting and she starts randomly glowing, which is unique. But Blue Eyes comes to save the day, and he's like, what the actual fuck? Takes her and hides her in a closet.
Yeah, it's all a bit weird. They have a heart-to-heart while they're hiding in the closet. It's all happening. There's lots of H's here. He basically tells her that he just wants her safe. She believes him, and they finally kiss. Thank fuck. It's very hot. It's very sexy. You know, they're in a little secluded area. It's very nice. But that's basically all they allow themselves because they know that it's just going to be too much. You know, they're like, no, this is too complicated. Even though they both really want to fuck.
They're like, the logistics of us fucking in this closet, it's just not possible. We need space. No. We need terrain.
It's not going to happen here. It's not going to happen.
Given the positions he does put her in for their eventual sex, that was never going to happen.
No.
And he's so tall. He's got such long legs. He needs that space.
No. How would that work? He'd need to hoist her.
Yeah. He now has to go away. And when they go to leave, there's basically another dead body. He tells her to go to her room because go to your room, Cass. Like a dad.
Daddy.
But that basically, if he doesn't see her before he leaves, that he just needs her to stay safe. And I'm like, blessed. But he ends up going away for 5 whole days. And during that time, the Emperor was just fucking stressed. He is just the conspiracy theorists that are just like, that is him. She goes to find Blue Eyes because obviously he's back. And her friends are a little bit worried. And they ask her to take Silverfoot with her. So she responds with, fine, I'll take the fox. And I'll try not to make any more questionable decisions. such as hiding in storage rooms and kissing questionable men.
Cass, don't make promises you can't keep.
Don't make promises you can't keep.
No, especially don't bring the fox into it. God.
No.
When she goes to find him, Caden is not happy. Blue Eyes is happy to see her, and she missed him. It's very cute, their little reunion. They go somewhere private to practice magic, and he teases her, and it's very, very cute. Apparently, because his powers come from, like, the Rook god and his enemies with Thalatus, which is, like, the sun god, who Cass thinks her powers are from, it's kind of like this weird foreshadowing moment where it's like, so are you guys meant to be, like, enemies as in enemies to lovers?
I really hope they're not meant to be enemies unless it's enemies to lovers, which I will accept. But they're practicing their magic. At one stage, he's basically like smothering her with his magic and she's about to give up when he takes her hand and starts like tapping on her palm to anchor her. She ends up getting out of his magic twice and at one stage using like storm magic. That just seems to come out of nowhere, but we're here.
Cool.
But there's no time to waste or chill or just like enjoy that because next minute there are Namtar, aka Void Archers, and they are just showing up and attacking the place and everyone has to defend the palace. And then they're in the town. Cass and the gang are basically fighting off the demon archer things. They just like, they can grow their weapons, like their bows and arrows are just like a part of them.
From their back.
Yeah.
Like, it's just like another limb.
Yeah, they're just flinging limbs at people.
Flinging limbs.
It's very unsettling when you think of it like that way. And then all of a sudden we realise that Laurent is surrounded and it's very distressing because, you know, not our weird elf guy. She then uses her powers and basically pulses electricity through her palm to save Laurent. They run and they find Blue Eyes and he's worried about her. It's all very sweet. And they're going back to the palace to hold the fort. But then Zev and Laurent are missing. And it's like, he was just there. Well,
he was just there. Where'd he go?
But no.
He's quick.
She runs to find them and basically they're in trouble. And she ends up using her powers to basically kill a bunch of monsters that are surrounding them and this house. But then it goes very, very wrong. And she ends up setting the house full of people on fire and they're dying, and then she runs inside to save anyone that's in there, but she seems to only be able to save a little boy. She rescues him and then like Zev and Laurent help get them out. It's a whole time. I'm just assuming she's burnt a whole house full of people.
I think it was only the boy that was left in the house. I think that's what it said.
I hope so.
Yeah. I think she was guilty because the young boy had like scarring on him. Like he was burnt pretty badly. I think that was one of the things. I'm not entirely sure, but I'm pretty positive it was only the boy in the house. I think the rest of the family was outside of the house at the time.
It's the whole time.
Or they are dead. Either way.
Or they are dead.
We don't get reference to them again.
They were non-voluntarily yeeted from the chat.
They were.
Eek.
So she's feeling incredibly guilty about this. She ends up going to sit outside and have some calmness and space. And she finds Blue Eyes. And they're low-key smitten. And it's adorable.
Yeah, look. And like when he sees her, he asks if she needs an anchor. And like you can just tell, I'm loving this. I am loving the whole anchor, tapping, everything. I love it.
It's gorgeous. So Caden and Tara then come up to them and they end up breaking the news that the King Emperor knows she has magical fingers. And he's not happy.
And not because she fucked her brother.
Not because she fucked her brother.
She didn't fuck her brother.
He's not happy with the finger situation. Caden and Blue Eyes then have an entanglement because Caden tries to use his mind-reading powers on Cass. And Blue Eyes is like, the fuck you doing? Entanglement ensues. Then they go to try and visit the king, but he refuses to see them. And she's like, this is weird. He usually is letting me see him all the time whenever I want to see him. This is odd. I think I'm going to be in a bit of trouble.
Yeah, she's a little bit worried.
Because of the magic fingers.
Because of the fingers magic. Her and Blue Eyes end up having this moment out in the rain where I'm like, yes, please fuck. I'm so fucking ready, because they're out on her balcony. It's pouring with rain. It's a beautiful moment. And the quote is, "I'm absolutely terrified," he repeated as he reached and pushed aside a strand of her hair that had plastered itself to her forehead, which is just not very romantic, but that's fine.
I'm just picturing like a single strand, like down the center of her head, like
just like 4, just like
yeah.
That's fine. Then he wrapped his other arm around her and pulled her closer, and yet the thought of missing my chance to hold you like this is somehow more terrifying. And it's fucking on.
So they begin to do the tonsil tango, and he's teasing her. I love it. The quote is, "Yes, although tonight it's more about the way you look in that rain than anything else." And she's like, "Which is like a half-drowned rat dredged up from the river, I suspect." And he responds with, "The most stunning half-drowned rat I've ever seen. And this is also just how my boyfriend compliments me."
Yes, I was going to say, that sounds very familiar.
Yes. Oh, literally. I was also waiting for more, but really they just kiss, and then I'm like, cool, that's fine. Then she changes, and he's like, "Well, I'm getting nudie." In that word, like that, exactly like that. Nudie.
Nudie.
Just sleep next to you. Hee.
What could possibly happen?
And they're basically, what could possibly happen here? They keep mentioning that they feel like they've known each other forever, and I don't know what this means, and I'm just going to yeet past this because I just want them to fuck. So next minute, they're kissing again, and he gets consent, which, yes. And then we get this quote. His fingers paused against those lips, patiently waiting until her mouth opened, and she followed his unspoken command to take those fingers and suck
I can't get with the finger sucking.
Oh, dear. So whilst there's finger sucking and all sorts of weird things going on, he basically makes her do the splits in order to take his girth.
He's just like, stay down!
Yeah, legs wider, and then she like spreads her legs, and he's like, "This simply will not do."
Wider. Just why?
So many questions.
Oh, Jesus. But just so you're all aware, for all that teasing and whatnot, this is it. This is all we get. Ready? She closed her eyes and lost herself in that pleasure, in wave after wave of it pounding against her until her entire body shuddered with her complete release. She started to cry out, but Alanda's mouth closed over hers, silencing her as his own surrender shattered through him and spilled into her. That's it. That one paragraph. That's it.
So that's just him.
That's
like just chugging away there. In missionary.
Yeah,
That's all we get.
that's it for a whole book. I mean, yeah. Look, I'm disappointed. I'm let down.
yeah.
Considering we had finger sucking leading up to this, I thought we were.
I was ready for some dirty fucking shit.
Yeah, no, we took a left turn,
Yeah, we did.
and here we are. We're all done. So essentially, straight after that, we learned that he only really had one other lover, which, you know, as soon as you finish coitus with your partner, you're like, tell me all of your other sexual conquests now.
Ellie would never.
No, never asked that question. God. Essentially, he says that he's only really had one other lover and she died. He tried to negotiate with death to spare her and failed. She's just like, oh, that's a bit sad for you, but can I see my dead parents? And he's like,
I mean, we just fucked,
I'm
but
not a Ouija board, but yeah.
Not sure if that's what you feel like you want to do.
Hop on in. So he abracadabras her dead parents in front of her.
I'm really getting it.
And it's very sad. She's looking at them and they can't hear her talk and she can't hear them. And then they fade away and she sees Azra. And she's like, oh, no, you shouldn't be here because that means that you've crossed over to the other side. And you're meant to be alive.
it means Azra's left the chat.
She's currently leaving. She's packing her bags.
But look, so then she runs to go see if Azra is dead, and she isn't dead, but like we said, she's leaving the chat. She's in the process of vacating the premises. And the quote we get is, restless heart, Azra's hand squeezed hers one last time. You have to stop fighting for me. There are bigger things that heart is meant to beat for.
Oh.
So then she tries to go crazy light lady and, like, tries to stop Azra from dying and, like, takes her death. But then Azra, like, dies, but now she's not, and it's very confusing. But then the King Emperor is there, and he's like, look, I'm not a fan of this. How dare...
He's like, you're playing God.
You're playing God, but how dare you save your mother figure from a death?
Yeah,
you can't do it. And then, like, oh, fuck, Blue Eyes rocks up, and it's happening. It's, like, the confrontation because the king is, like, going to detain her. He tells Blue Eyes to do it, but Blue Eyes won't because he low-key loves her. And so some other guards have to come, and they come up, and then they kill Azra. So the king goes, you can't save her. In fact, learning lesson, I'm going to kill your mum.
Yes.
We are going to kill your mother. She's not going to pass go. She's not going to get like
No.
$200.
She's off the board. She screams, but the guards come to, like, seize her, and then Blue Eyes tries to fight some of them off. It's just a whole situation. Then she gets taken by the king, and we don't even know if Blue Eyes is alive. It's a whole situation.
Yes, it's very hectic. She ends up being taken to the throne room, and the king is like, tell me who you are, Cassia. And we're like, what the fuck do you mean, bro? Except for Ellie. Ellie's like, I know exactly what you mean. Me and Briony are like, what do you mean, bro? And then, like, we find out that her magic isn't working on him, and it's a whole thing, and we're all kind of just like, what the fuck is going on? She ends up using her powers to make the room extremely bright, and then just yeets it out the window. And I was just like, in this whole scene, I was like, ah, God, what the fuck is going on?
Yes, this whole next bit was very, very fast paced. So she, like, yeets out of the window, and now she's running, and now there's a river, but she can't swim. This just gives me vibes of, like, you can't go under it, you can't go over it. We have to go through it. Splash, splash, splash.
It also just gives me reminiscence of Ellie just, like, floating.
Starfishing my way. Oh no, I'm here. I'm watching all the guards run up to the riverbank, and I'm like, see ya.
You can't catch me now.
I can't swim, but I am a starfish.
But I will starfish my way to safety. Just watch. So then someone shoots her with an arrow. Of course they do. Pierces her heart. So you think this is it. She's dead now. End of the book.
So confused.
Yeah.
Like,
turns out, not so dead.
Mm-mm.
She gets pulled out of the river. The arrow was still in her, though. Like, it's just been, like, sort of snapped off. So, like, the head of the arrow was still in her
arteries.
I was about to say an areola. That's your nipple.
Look, close. A little bit off to the left.
Close.
But that's all right.
All right, that's fine. Anyway, arrow's still in there. She's not dead, though. We don't really know what's happening. It's weird.
So then she somehow, like, the guards see her on the muddy bank of the river, but then the next minute the wolf is there, but the wolf's protecting her now, not trying to kill her. And then next minute, flash forward, because that wasn't confusing enough, she wakes up in oblivion. Someone negotiated about her death and won. It wasn't Blue Eyes, though, but it sounds like him.
It's Blue Eyes.
It was Blue Eyes.
Insert footnote.
And this is when she realises it's curtsy. The word shuddered through her lips, the middle god of death and destruction. And this is when she realises that they are one and the same. She picks up on what we were putting down throughout the whole book. She's a bit sad because she did think that Alander was her anchor and that they had something, like, unique and special, and now she's feeling a bit used. You know, it tracks. Caden and Tara are there, but they look a bit different. So Caden had just stepped into the room, but he didn't look like Caden. He had the same face, but his skin was a strange ashen shade of grey, and his eyes had unsettling red rings around their irises. Tara followed closely behind him. Of the three of them, Tara was the least changed by the airs of oblivion. Her hair was still red, though it was considerably brighter. Her golden skin shimmered, and her eyes seemed brighter as well, a bright shade of green that glowed oddly in the low lighting. I am... Oh, no.
Excellent.
I wanted to say emphysema.
Emphysema.
She said, I am Esma, the lesser spirit of shadows. Caden is actually Talos, the blood spirit. So she's a bit pissed. And Alanda's like, I don't give a fuck. and he's acting like a dick because he's a god or whatever the fuck he is. We're very confused. And she's like, I'll never forgive you for this because Azra, even though he didn't cut off her anyways. And he looks like he might be sorry, but then he's like, lol, jokes, bye.
Psych. You're coming with me. You're going straight in my basket.
You are. So she's now being held in a room by everyone. The whole gang's here. Tara comes to chat and gives us some very vital information that sort of ties everything into a nice bow for us. So essentially a little bit of backstory because we kind of glossed over the way the law works. You have normal people, aka who I've been referring to as peasants, and then you have people who have been blessed by magic, and their magic comes from gods, and there's like tiers of
that
gods.
Thing we ignored at the beginning of
so yes. So the king emperor and his dad and like all of the lines before them, that whole crew tried to like outlaw the people who had magic in the system because they were going to like overrun everything. You get what I mean? So they don't want the peasants to be stomped on by the magic people. They want everyone to be equal. So to do that, they just sort of killed anyone that had magic. Sounds like a good plan.
That tracks,
so this god,
sure.
Yeah. This god comes in and he's like, no, I want the gods to flourish again and have magic and everyone be beautiful and blessed and yada, yada, yada. And the king's like, that's great, make me king and I'll make this happen. Did not happen. So because the king broke the deal in like a vengeance, the god basically killed him and the king's people would die, aka. So the Brook god then made a deal with Blue Eyes, who we come to find out is a fallen middle-tiered god. So it was simple. He could successfully destroy the traitorous Catherine Empire, starting by eliminating the House of Solacen, among other things. Then Elander's divine status and all of his power and immortality and everything else that came with it would be restored. So that was his mission, like, take out the king.
Basically, we then find out, for those who were not Ellie and did not know this, she is the true queen of whatever the fuck the kingdom is.
Catherine Empire.
A.k.a. King Emperor's sis. So we get this quote. Your name is not Azalea, he continued, stepping inside. It's not Thorn or Cassia Greythorn or Selena Tessor, whatever. It is Valerie de Solacen, the true queen of the kingdom of Melech, whatever the fuck, and Queen Empress of the Catherine Empire. And basically, we then get this. The root god wants the Solacen, whatever the fuck it is, bloodline eliminated, she whispered. Yes. And you serve that god? Yes. He cupped her jaw and lifted her downcast eyes to meet his, which means that you and I, unfortunately, have a very big problem. And what the fuck does that mean, cunt?
The book ends on that note.
What do you fucking mean?
Oh my god, that's it. That's
and
the whole
we end on that note.
All right, music references.
So I couldn't really find a song that specifically resonated with this book because it's very magical and it's very, I'm sure Taylor Swift have something, but I haven't delved into the archives. But I did find one that I think does a really good job of representing the anxiety Cass experiences throughout the book. And it's called Overkill by Colin Hay. I won't go into the lyrics because I won't do them justice by just repeating them. But go have a look, the acoustic versions on Spotify, and it is amazing.
Then with fan art, we've got, like we spoke about, there is Nataliebernardart. She did the pictures that come in the book, the amazing one of our main character and the questionable one of Blue Eyes. She's also done portraits for every character in the series, basically. So check her out on Instagram. Then we've got Alicemariapower, this is the artwork that Ellie showed us when she recommended the book, and it's one that's been floating around, and this is what I would love in that guy. Like, that makes me very interested in him and everything he's about. And then I also found by Adamar.art she's done one of Cassia and Alanda. It's very high contrast, but character profiles again. There's not a lot out there, so I really hope there's more fan art soon. All right. Well, up next, we are reading Night Circus by Erin Morgenstern. I'm very excited for that one. And then after that, we are reading Yours for the Night by Katie Robert. Yay!
Woo! Is it yours for the night or theirs for the night?
I've got yours.
It's definitely theirs for the night.
Whoops.
Yeah.
Scratch
That's
that.
all right.
It's theirs
It's
for the
theirs.
night.
It's 69 pages. It's Smutbuster. It is... Katie Robert is very good at her Smutbusters. It doesn't necessarily have a great storyline, but sex is good. So we'll just chuck that one in there. It'll be a quick episode for you guys, and we'll enjoy it. So fuck it up.
We will.
All right, guys.
And it's free on Kindle Unlimited, guys.
Exactly, it is.
All right.
Thank you, everyone, for listening in to another episode. We hope you enjoyed it. I think we definitely will cover the next books in this little series because we can't leave it on
look,
that
I'll add
note.
it to the fishbowl.
The fucking blue eyes. So in the meantime, like, follow and subscribe. Rate us as well on Spotify or wherever you're listening, because apparently that helps us get in more people's ears, which is what we want to do. You can follow
We want
us
to get
if
in your
you'd
ears,
like.
but not with our peni.
Not sexually. Vocally. That is all.
Gosh.
But if you'd like visual stimulation, we are on Instagram and
YouTube.
TikTok. And YouTube, yeah. We've got lots of platforms. Also, everyone give Georgia a follow on TikTok if you would like to be in the running for her giveaway coming up, which we are collaborating, I guess, with.
Yes. Very
But
exciting.
in the meantime, enjoy your reading, everyone. And we'll see you next week.
Bye.